Welcome back to the Fenway Focus. This is episode 18 of the Fenway Focus. My name is Jason. I'm always here with Derrik, and we have a very special guest, Hunter. You want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself? I guess?
Hunter Noll. Basically, just my entire life is the Red Sox minor league system. I have a podcast that I do with Derrik, along with our other co-host Jake T. O'Donnell on the Pesky Report. That's basically 90. It's Red Sox minor league baseball, wrestling, and sleep. That's about it.
Well, seems like a good grind for you. You did mention minor leagues, and that is what we're going to talk about today. We have a little bit of a special episode. It is a very special episode, I think, and every episode from here on out is very special. So we're going to be doing a minor league progress report. It's currently May 23rd, 2024 that we're recording this, and it's a solid sample size and kind of at the point where we can judge a little bit of the minor leaguers and give them grades. So how this is going to work, I'll kind of moderate this and hand it over to Derrik and Hunter to give their grades. I'll be disclaimer. I don't really know the minor league system as much as Hunter and Derrik do. Like Hunter, that literally dedicates his life. I see him on Twitter all the time tweeting out, "Oh, Roman Anthony single Roman." I mean, credit to you. It's a great.
Allan Castro walks again for the millionth time.
Shush. I'm not okay. Fine. So, without further ado, we're gonna start with top prospect, number one prospect, according to MiLB Pipeline for the Red Sox system, Marcelo Mayer. I'm going to hand it over to our guest, Hunter. What do you give him for a grade, whether it be an A or a B? You can use any grading system you want. How do you grade him?
Marcelo Mayer, for me, this one's pretty easy right off the bat. I'm going A+. Didn't get to finish last year, had an injury which caused him to struggle, and it was by the end of the season it was kind of well known that the injury was hampering him, but that still kind of didn't stop a lot of people from writing him off, saying, "Oh, this is our prize prospect, and he can't even hit in Double-A." And now we're seeing healthy Marcelo Mayer, so he gets points for being healthy. He gets points for continuously playing really solid defense at shortstop. An interesting note: I don't know. There was no speculation that it would go anywhere, but he was apparently taking ground balls at third the other day. I don't know if that means anything, but leads the minor leagues in doubles. He has 17 doubles on the year. He has 4 homers. He's walking, he's not walking a ton, but even that has picked up a little bit recently. Strikeouts aren't terrible. He's getting a ton of RBIs. They usually have him batting second. Behind Roman Anthony. It seems like whenever Anthony gets a day off, they put Mayer in the leadoff spot, but it seems like he's always capitalizing whenever they get runners in scoring position for him. And although this isn't really just Mayer, something I've noticed is whenever it's Anthony, Mayer, Teel in the lineup, it seems like it's almost impossible for the pitcher to get through the first inning without giving up some form of base runner, and a lot of that has to do with Marcelo Mayer and his 302 batting average. So just the health, the doubles, the hits, the defense. He's even stealing bases very well this year. I think he's only been caught once. The whole package, it's a very easy A for me.
Yeah, Derrik, over to you.
Yeah, I have an A. I'm kind of going flat grading system, so just A, B, C, D, F. Although I don't think we're gonna have any Fs because why would we give any prospect an F? Because let's be honest, if we were giving them an F, I just wouldn't put them on here just because I don't like looking at the negatives for these guys.
We're positive people, yeah.
Yes, we are. But Mayer's an A. I echo everything Hunter said. And me and you saw him, Jason, in Portland, and I know, Hunter, you've seen him many times. You were just in Portland last week, so you kind of got to see him multiple times.
Yeah.
Not in Portland. They're in Somerset, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were in Somerset, got to see them play. So, Mayer, especially, too, with him being healthy now and the whole fan base thing of, oh, Marcelo Mayer, is he any good anymore? Blah, 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 people losing their minds for no reason. Yeah, he's very much silenced that. So he gets it. It's an easy A for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, Derrik, I was talking with you the other day. Someone ranked Marcelo Mayer 77th or something like that.
Yeah,
everyone's underrated.
Stupid.
Yeah, I mean, also Chase Mydroth is also on that top 100 prospect list. So interpret that how you would. But yeah, I think like Hunter said, that slow start, or not slow start, he got hurt. That really plummeted his numbers last season. Now he's on a tear. Probably will get called up to AAA sometime this season if he continues to rake. Right?
Yeah.
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 Definitely. So yeah, that's Marcelo Mayer. Hunter gives him an A plus. Derrik a solid A, but he's in the flat scale. And now I'm going to go to Roman Anthony. I started with Hunter last time. I'll start with Derrik this time. Derrik, go.
I kind of have a B on Roman Anthony. Not this isn't like a knock on him, but it the number. I'll put it like this with Roman Anthony. This has kind of happened a little bit in Salem last year. As much as we hear about the stuff, all the exit velo stuff is there, and we've seen those numbers a little bit. It's that high. It's like exit velo or whatnot. Like when he hits the ball, it's like stupidly hard. But he's had a couple of rough weeks this year at times, and he had like a 13 strikeout week. He's made a couple, not like major, nothing crazy, nothing like to concern, but at times defensively, maybe he made like a rough error here or there occasionally. Nothing to be concerned about, but it's happened. So it gets a B, but I have this isn't like a concerning thing. It's a B, right? Remember, he also came into this year with the crazy expectations of being arguably the top prospect in the system too. So with that, I'll give him a B, but I wouldn't be shocked because it's the end of this year and he's an easy A. That wouldn't shock me.
Right, you mentioned Sox prospects does have him as the Red Sox #1 prospect, but Hunter, I'll hand it over to you. What do you got?
I'm going to go with a B plus for Roman Anthony. Like Derrik said, there's been some rough patches for him. I think the big thing that people need to remember is he just turned 20 10 days ago. Like he was 19 for the first month and a half of this season. He entered this year with under a full season of play. Like he was under 162 games until like May 15th or something like that. So he's still very inexperienced. So to me, that kind of made me want to bump him up a little bit just because he's in uncharted territory. I mean, like, I know baseball fans are a little spoiled right now with like Jackson Holiday making it to the majors, but I mean, obviously he's back down in AAA now, but
it's also not normal.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like people might kind of see that and think that that's, I don't want to say a normal thing, but like they'll be like, oh, well, Roman Anthony's only in AA. It's still wild to be a teenager in AA. Like every single pitcher he's facing is usually multiple years older than him. And he's had those rough patches. He's had some big like strikeout numbers at times, but he's been walking a decent amount. He's up to 10 doubles. He's played a lot better in May. He's hitting 275 with a 393 on base percentage in May. So like he's clearly figuring things out. And
the weather's heating up too.
Yes, the weather's heating up, which I think is going to help a lot of different players that we end up talking about. But I mean, at the start of May, on May 1st, I should say going into May 3rd, he was hitting 200. He's back up to 239. So like clearly he's evening himself out. He's getting back on track. And like Derrik said, he's someone that right now isn't an A, but at the end of the year, I would not be shocked if we were talking about his season with just stars in our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the cold too. I mean, me and Derrik talked to a couple players, and they said, the cold got off to a slow start, but then ever since the warm weather came, they've adjusted. Quick question on Roman Anthony. Long term, where does he slot? Right field, left field, maybe center field?
Who cares?
I know that's going to be Rafaela's. But
so who cares?
Who cares?
That's I mean that like sincerely because Rafaela could probably play every position on the field if they really needed him to. Let's be honest. Yeah. And like Abreu can realistically play the corners and he could deputize in center field. They'll find a spot for it. Basically, is what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter. It's left, center, right. They'll find a spot for him.
It'll definitely be interesting because there's, especially right now with the amount of outfielders they have. I mean, I know Rafaela can go in the infield, but
Duran too. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, there's going to be conversations at some point. Someone's probably going to get traded at some point. It'll be interesting to see. I can't imagine Roman Anthony's going to be one of the people traded, but it's hard to tell where he'll be right now just because there's so many different factors that are going to go into it.
Yeah. Alrighty, Kyle Teel. I'll start with Hunter. What do you got?
Again, as people will learn, I'm a very positive person. I'm going with an A for Kyle Teel. He has been ridiculous in the month of May. He's hitting 357 in May. He's back up to a 282 average on the year, 387 on base percentage. Only, quote unquote, only 3 homers on the year. But at times it looks effortless for him sometimes. Like it seems like he's kind of just throwing the bat out there and he'll hit it over the wall, or he's throwing the bat out there and it's a hard line drive to the opposite field. And this is something with Roman Anthony too. Roman Anthony's great at using the opposite field. Everybody always, that's a big thing with him when he hits homers, is people are shocked if it even goes to center. They're like, oh my God, it wasn't an opposite field homer. Kyle Teel definitely pulls a little bit more, but he's so good at just taking what the pitcher gives him. And good behind the plate. He had a rough start to the year when it came to throwing people out, but there were a lot of different factors early in the season. I know people were saying like it was so cold, legitimately it would have been hard for him to make the transfer. I mean, their first 2 games got snowed out. That should tell you how cold it was. And outside after that first game, he's been really good at limiting base runners. Not the best strikeout numbers, but he's got a very patient approach. So I think that's something that he's kind of like building on a little bit. He's been a little bit better this month of, again, taking what the pitcher gives him instead of, he's got a 3-1 count, and instead of like, I'm going to draw a walk, he's like, okay, this will be a pitch to hit, and he's doing damage with it. And again, he's for the most part hit third this season, and it's been so hard for pitchers to get the big 3 out in the first inning. And especially lately, it seems like Kyle Teel's coming up to the plate with Anthony or Mayer or both on, and he's been driving them in pretty frequently. He had 3 RBIs the other night in Somerset. He had 4 RBIs last night. So just looking every bit the part of the future catcher. And I know at the beginning of the year, the whole talk was like, when's Kyle Teel coming up? We need him. Now we have Connor Wong being an MVP candidate. So just the thought of a duo of Kyle Teel and Connor Wong is amazingly terrifying in the best possible way. So he absolutely gets an A from me so far.
I gotta say, it is a little insane to think of Connor Wong as an MVP and a dark horse MVP candidate. It sounds so crazy.
But it's so true.
It's true, God. But it sounds so crazy. On Teel, I got an A as well. I'd probably rank him a little bit below Mayer, but he does get an A. It's pretty much everything Hunter said, I'm in agreement on. And the thing is, too, the strikeout numbers aren't the greatest. Go look at, a lot of minor leaguers. A lot of them don't have great strikeout numbers, so it's not like if you see a guy in the minor league striking out 25% of the time or whatnot, I'm just throwing out a number. That's not totally unnormal. That's not it's more rare when you get a guy who strikes out less than 20% of the time. It's very rare in the minor leagues. So it's not that big of a concern. In terms of right now, not a pressing concern. It's not like he's striking out 35% of the time. And typically that thing, more games he gets in, weather starts to heat up too. Plays more games, kind of shifts the approach a little bit. That'll always get under control. I feel like that'll get under control for him. So, and it's like I said, it's not that big of an issue anyways right now. So he gets an A for me. And he's been very, very, very solid this year and works well with the pitching staff. So that's always a plus.
Was about to bring that up. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we talked to some players and nothing but good things about Kyle Teel and how he likes to get the best out of his players too, pitching. So, yeah, great for him. Hunter has an A. So did Derrik for Teel. Let's move to Nick York. Derrik, I'll start with you. What do you got for a grade?
So this one, for Nick York, I'm going with a C. It's been a bit of a rough year for him. Cold weather, maybe. Who knows? Playing in Portland. But he's only hitting 242. 329 on base, 359 slugging, 688 OPS. Not the greatest of starts to the year. It's not like he's been playing bad at all. It's just, it's not necessarily what you would expect from someone who's already spent a year at AA and most people thought was going to start the year in AAA. He's been fine defensively at second base. He's getting games in left field. He's been fine there for the most part. I haven't seen him, have really any terrible mistakes in left field, so that's always nice. But like I said, you would think that someone who's already spent a year in AA and most people had penciled in for AAA before the year started, you would probably expect some better numbers. So as of now, in terms of expectations for York, I do have him at a C, but still early in the year. He still has very, very much has time to kind of get things really going. And he's another one of these guys in Portland that it's like, okay, they play well, they'll be in AAA by the end of the year.
Yeah, Kyle Teel. Nick York is a tough one. I'm going C+. Like Derrik said, the defense has been fine. I will consistently say I think he's a very underrated defender at second base. He's looked solid in left field. Nothing crazy so far. I was a little upset when I saw them in Reading. He was in left for like 2 games and nothing. I don't think a single ball was hit to him, and I was like, it would have been great to see him live do something in left. I got to see a couple in Somerset, but the slugging percentage is really disappointing this year. 364. Like he's just not driving the ball nearly as much. He had 25 doubles, 5 triples, 13 homers last year. He's at 7 doubles, 3 homers, no triples this year. I think it also hurts him that Chase Meadroth kind of leapfrogged him. I think that kind of just hurts like the standing of Nick York. Like it kind of shows where the Red Sox view him. Like they saw, and I know I think he's still technically younger than Chase Meadroth by a little bit. But it's one of those things where it's like, this was one of your top prospects, and now you've already got this guy who kind of came into the system as an unknown or as a much lesser known entity, and he's already in less time, he's already leapfrogged you. So I think that also kind of put some pressure on Nick York this year to really perform, and he hasn't been dreadful or anything, but he really hasn't been as good as you would hope, especially hitting where he is. He's usually hitting like 5th or 6th and getting a lot of opportunities with people on base with to lead off innings and get something started, or one of the big 3 or Bleis Jordan or someone is on base ahead of him, and he's had his moments, which I think makes it more frustrating. Is he'll have like a week span where he's one of the better players in the system, and it's like, this is Nick York. And then you'll see like 2 weeks of just 3 for 16 with 3 singles and a walk and a steal, and it's like, man, what are we doing? So someone that I wouldn't be shocked if he heated up. We've seen it multiple times in the past. He had a great bounce back year last year in AA. So hopefully he can get back on track. But right now it's definitely been a disappointing season for Nick York.
Yeah, if my math is right, I think he's 9 months younger than Meadroth, if my math is right. The other thing, too, I'll say on New York is prospect development is not linear, so there are going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be guys are going to jump, guys can maybe slow, the development maybe slows a little bit. Like I said, not linear. There's a thing that I kind of preach on the Pesky Report as well. It's linear. It's not going to be just straight up, no, like there's always going to be bumps in the road. Even if you might not see those bumps in the road, but they're going to be bumps in the road. Jackson Holliday is the number 1 prospect in baseball. Just had a pretty sizable bump in the road in Baltimore, right? So there's always going to be bumps in the road.
He is just 22. Like,
yeah,
he just turned 22 in April. It's not like this is a 24-year-old struggling. And I'm not to throw shade on him, but this isn't Spencer Jones, who's 23 in AA for the Yankees, and he's their number 2 prospect, and he's hitting 220 with a 42% strikeout rate. Like, Nick York still had a lot of positives, and like.
Oh, I will crap on Spencer Jones. I will willingly do it because
I like Spencer Jones.
I hope he
succeeds.
I don't because he scares me, because he's another one of those guys I feel like the Yankees got just so they can rob homers. Like short porch, stick him out there, just stands up, puts his glove up and catches it, doesn't even have to jump. I'm like, you piece of crap. That's how I feel about it.
Fair. I feel like every Yankee fan overhypes him. I think you can all agree.
I felt bad for him at Somerset though. The fans were tired.
Oh, they hate him
because he had a bad week. there was multiple times where he struck out on 3 pitches and he started hearing it. And I was like, come on, man, this poor guy.
Yeah. Well, also too, it's like the Yankees also too. They all this hype, and then the national hype starts building around him, and then he's what 6'7", 6'8", so he's going to
That's
be the
the big
next
thing
Aaron
is he
Judge.
reminds people of Aaron Judge. So they're
And
like,
it's
oh,
like-
it's Aaron Judge. And it's like, that's not a fair thing to put on
And
someone.
Aaron Judge was not Aaron Judge in the minor leagues. It's also that too. Like, but slow down. But yeah, I think that's enough on Spencer Jones. Jason, who do we have next?
Who do we got next? We have Edinson Paulino, aka
Pimp
the
Job.
person Derrik. Yeah, Mr. Pimp Job.
Oh, he's got the Griffey swag.
He does.
Anyone has
When
it,
we went
he
to
has
Portland, that was the one guy Derrik wanted to see hit a home run.
I'm sorry
but
it
it was-
didn't happen for you.
But it was Sykes hit a home run,
There you go.
so he's a friend of your show.
Yes.
So Hunter, I'll start with you. What do you give Paulino?
I actually have seen Edinson Paulino hit home runs live. It is a glorious thing.
Nice.
Shocking, just a shocking amount of power. Not just like, oh, he hits a decent amount of home runs. He hits the ball insanely far. Like it was one off the bat that everyone was just like, oh, okay, that was ridiculous. I actually think he hit 2 that week. I think it was a doubleheader, and him and Roman Anthony both hit a homer in both games. I'm going to give him an A-. I think he's consistently been one of the better bats for Portland. He's had a couple rough spots in between, but he's had some monster games where he's carried the offense. He plays great defense all around the infield. He can steal some bases. The strikeout to walk rate isn't great, but everything else has been phenomenal. He has almost hit for the cycle, I think, twice this year. I think one game he was a homer shy. At another game, he was a triple shy. So just one of the most electric players, one of the most underrated players, someone that if the big 3 wasn't there, or even if like 1 or 2 of the big 3 wasn't there, I think he would have such a bigger spotlight. So just A- for the electricity and for the fact that he's quietly been one of the better hitters in the system this year.
Derrik?
I have a B for Paulino. He's always been electric. He play all over the place. He hasn't played outfield anytime recently, but if my memory serves me correctly, he has played outfield before.
Yeah.
So he can kind of do it all. Now he's not like the greatest defensive outfielder you've ever seen, or he's not the greatest defensive, but like he gets the job done defensively, and yeah, he can hits very well. Just kind of just everything well. I don't know if there's like a true like standout tool for him, which might kind of be that was like a big question with Matthew Lugo a couple years ago. It's like, okay, but what's the true standout tool?
Yeah.
But with Paulino, he's just fun to watch too. Like he's one of those guys. Like I said, he's kind of got like the Griffey swag. Like he hits a homer, and like I also want to put like a video of Griffey hitting a homer and him hitting a homer side by side, because like the swag is very similar in terms of just like how he kind of like drops the bat, and just kind of like it's just like it's Griffey-esque, the kind of swag he has when he's on and when he's hitting well, and when he hits a no doubter, it's very fun to see. Didn't get it in person, but I've seen many of them, whether it's watching the game live or Hunter tweeting them out, because we know Hunter loves pimp jobs, as we all do. Who doesn't love a good pimp job? So yeah, Paulino gets a B for me.
Yeah, so Hunter A-, and then Derrik B. Next we have actually no, we'll go Bleis Jordan. Derrik, I'll start off with you. What do you got?
I have a B for Bleis Jordan. A little bit health related too, because like I mean it's not his fault. He got injured. Like you can't control that, but like he did get injured. He's gonna miss some time. But like when he's played well. He's one of those guys where it's like, okay, borderline. He's been very good defensively. I think a lot of people started penciling him in as he's going to be a first baseman. I wouldn't go so fast on that. He still looked fine at third base. I think he does probably eventually long term end up at first base, because because I think long term teams are going to take like when teams draft so many shortstops, they're eventually going to find like some shortstop who's going to have to move over to third or something like that. So Bleis Jordan, I think eventually ends up at first base. the bat's been very solid. Obviously, I think a lot of people think of him as this big power guy, which it's not that he doesn't hit for power, but he has very good bat to ball skills too. He's not like some big swing and miss guy necessarily. He'll hit the singles and the doubles, and he's not Joey Gallo, which I hate throwing shade at Joey Gallo because I feel like I always do it, but like Joey Gallo's the true power swing and miss guy, right? So even when Joey Gallo was good, he was power and swing and miss. So Jordan's not like he's not this big massive Bleis is not this massive big swing and miss guy like a Joey Gallo. I don't know. I can't think of anyone else. Joey Gallo's the first one who pops in my head. I feel bad for him at this point, but too bad. Jordan was hitting 283, so like I said, he's not like some low average guy, whatnot. No, he can still hit. I think last year, at the start of last year, like before he got moved up, I think he was hitting like over three. I think it was like 315 or something insane like that, or it was something insane. So
yeah, he was hitting really good in Greenville.
Last year in Greenville it was 324 actually, even higher than my memory even had. So yeah, he's not necessarily, like I said, not necessarily low average. He can put the bat on the ball as well. So, but I got a B for Bleis Jordan. It just sucks that he's injured.
This one is one of the more frustrating ones for me because I think if he didn't get hurt, he was on his way to moving up to an A. But for now, I think I'm going to have to go with a B+. Started off the year, it was him and Cutter Coffee having a contest to see who could get robbed of the most hits. It was getting ridiculous. I felt so bad for both of them. They were hitting the ball hard, and just everyone was diving everywhere and leaping everywhere. But I forget what it was off the top of my head. He's currently still on like an 18-game hitting streak or something ridiculous. Up to 283, he doesn't strike out. So in 111 plate appearances, he's only walked 6 times, but he's also only struck out 11 times. 7 doubles, 2 homers. So the power hasn't been ridiculous, but again, cold weather, bad luck. He got robbed of a few doubles. That's something that once he's healthy and once it gets warm, I think he's going to start mashing some home runs. We saw it last year where they just kind of came in bunches for a while. He was such a perfect like 4 or 5 hitter for Portland with the big 3 at the top, and then usually Bleis Jordan 4, sometimes a little bit down, but just perfectly, like, because all those guys are getting on base a ton, and it was frustrating because he was getting so unlucky at the start of the year, and we finally started to see him, all those hits land, and he was starting to, the RBIs were starting to get up really quickly, and the average obviously skyrocketed. And of course it gets taken mid hitting streak. We lose him for a while. So frustrating in that sense, but outside of that, fantastic. I think he's absurdly underrated defensively at first base. The amount of errors I've seen him save for his teammates is ridiculous. Makes a lot of really good plays. Definitely better at first, but he, like Derek said, still a very good third baseman. He has an incredible arm for the position, which really helps out. But right now, sadly, because of the injury kind of cutting short his ridiculous hot streak, I have to stick with a B+.
Dumb question. Does he profile as a long-term DH, or is he just fine defensively?
I think he's more than fine defensively to be a career first baseman. Like there to never be questions about him having to DH.
Okay, because one of the things that I worry about is like one of these prospects comes up and profiles as another like, Rafael Devers, who probably is going to have to move to DH at some point in his career. So that's why I ask. Let's go to Matthew Lugo. Interesting, very interesting year for him. Who did I start with last time? I think I started with Derek last time, so I'll go Hunter first. What do you give him?
I'm going A+ for Matthew Lugo. Seems like he's permanently moved to left field. I know there was stuff about him like potentially playing some right field, but I haven't really seen anything after that. Ridiculous numbers on the year. He's hitting 288. He's starting to draw a lot more walks, which it's good to see because that was kind of something at the beginning of the year was like, he's hitting good, but that's all great until things start to cool down and he's not getting on base. And things have started to cool down. And it's annoying because watching him play, most of his outs are still very loud outs. He's hitting the ball 350 feet just right to the wall, or he's hitting it 105 miles an hour, but the second baseman makes a nice play on it or something. But he's starting to draw walks, and with those walks, he's stealing a surprising amount of bases. He had 8 steals all of last season. He's already up to 9 this year on 10 attempts, so it's not like he's just running and getting caught every other time. But he's up to 18 walks on the season, which last year he had 19. So again, something that he's made a very clear improvement on. He's got a 388 on base percentage, 6 doubles, 2 homers, 6 doubles, 2 triples, 9 homers, which again, already more than he had all of last year, which was 5. 31 RBIs, which is 6 less than he had last year. Just everything's going right for him. He's playing fine defense in left field. Nothing to like go crazy about. He's made a couple spectacular plays, but he's been fine. And just after such a high 2022, where it was like, oh, this is the Matthew Lugo that we were hoping for. Because in 2021, there was like excitement around him. He had a really solid year in Salem. The power numbers weren't nearly what people were hoping for. But as we have talked about a billion times, Salem's ballpark is not made for power. So looking back on it, a 270 average with 4 homers is a very solid season. We've seen Salem do a lot worse to many hitters. And then he had a massive 2022 where he showed the power. He had 18 homers, 10 triples, 26 doubles. And he goes up to Double-A last year to start the year. And there's like all this hype around him. And it was just this perfect storm of he struggles. He hits 242 with a sub 300 on base percentage. He's not hitting homers. He's striking out a lot. And then the emergence, Roman Anthony emerges. They draft Kyle Teel. Miguel Bleis comes out of nowhere. Well, I shouldn't say comes out of nowhere, but his name builds up. Yohan Cespedes' name builds up. Allan Castro, I'll throw some love to Allan Castro. Like all these people fly and that's not even like a joke. Allan Castro, literally, I mean, he was not on many people's radars, and all of a sudden he's ranked well above Matthew Lugo. Matthew Lugo started this year not even on the Sox prospects top 60. That's how far he had fallen, and he was like 15 or something the year before.
He was up to 12 at the highest, at 12.
Okay, 12. So just even if things weren't going as well for him, if this was just like a really solid bounce back year, I would still probably be like, this is a B+. But he's doing just about everything right. Again, even during the slumps, he's hitting the ball hard. He's still walking. He's still stealing bases. He's finding ways to produce even when things aren't 100% going his way. And last year, nothing went his way and he didn't produce much. So it's great to see him jump back into relevance and become a legitimate prospect again. And again, speaking of age, also someone who he just turned 23 2 weeks ago. So like this isn't an old guy in Double-A dominating. Like this is still very much a prospect becoming an elite prospect again, or I shouldn't say elite, but becoming a very good prospect again. So one of the easier A+.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm an A. Everything Hunter said. This is like the easiest grade that there is. This is literally the easiest one there is. Because he had literally 0 expectations coming into the year. Actually, you could argue expectations where he was going to be phased out.
Yeah.
Arguably. And he's made his name... He's given his name value again. It's the easiest A that there is here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Wikelman Gonzalez. Derek, I'll start with you.
This one's really tough for me because I love Wikelman, but he's had his trademark slow start to the season. So I'm going to have to give him a D, but with the reference in my head that I know he gets off the slow start, so I really could put it at a C, but he did have very high expectations this year. He also had to be added to the 40-man roster, so that plays into this a little bit as well, because that's how valuable of a piece he is for the Red Sox organization, where they added him to the 40-man. So because of that, it's going to have to be a D, and I hate that it's a D, but it is. It's a 6.51 ERA this year. That is definitely rough. Still striking guys out, as always. He always strikes guys out, 33 strikeouts in 27 2/3 innings, but it's also walking a lot of guys. He did have a couple good starts in there. Kind of end of April, beginning of May, had a couple good starts. Then he kind of had a had like another bad 1 or 2 starts more recently. So for Wikelman, I go D, but like this is a very similar tale to last year with him. So it's not. I don't want to say it's unexpected. It just kind of sucks more so than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a C for him just because he's had a couple of those starts that make you think like, okay, he'll be fine in the long run. A couple like 8 strikeout performances, a few like 5 innings, 1 run. A lot of his starts, he hasn't really gotten hit around. He's given up over 3 hits 1 time this year, so it's really kind of been the command, which has been an issue for him in the past. But something that I feel like really needs to be studied. We've talked about like hitters will heat up when it gets warm. It really seems like when he's in a cold weather situation, and by cold I even mean like in the 50s, it really seems like he has nothing going for him on those days. So I legitimately think we'll see a very dominant Wikelman for the most part going forward. But you can't really judge based off what they will do. If we're talking about their season right now, you have to judge what they have done. And it hasn't been great for him. But there's still those good moments. There's still the high strikeout games. There's still the dominant games. There's still, again, not really giving up a lot of hits. He's had a few outings where he hasn't really had walk issues. Even last game, the first time he really did give up a lot of hits, he gave up 8 hits. He only walked 1 batter in 4 innings. So, I mean, you could still argue the command wasn't great. He threw some pitches that were way too hittable and something that Wikelman usually doesn't do. But I'm going to go with a C just because there's been enough bright spots in there for me to not go down to a D.
Yeah. Derek, you gave yours?
What? Yeah.
Give yours? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah. That's
D, but like
Wikelman.
very just like on the cusp of.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. I'm losing my mind. Alrighty. Angel Bastardo. Hunter, I'll start with you.
This is another tough one because he's had a couple outings this year that were not good. A couple outings this year where you are wondering if he's going to get out of like the first or second inning, but then he's gone on multiple multi-game stretches this year where it's just he looks nearly untouchable. It's really kind of just been like 2, 3, maybe you could argue not great starts. And then outside of that, though, he had, 2 games in a row, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. He went 6 shutout innings earlier this year. The first start of the year, he was their opening day starter, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. So we've seen a lot of dominant outings, but we've also seen a couple where it looks bleak for Bastardo really early on, and he kind of puts Portland in an unwinnable situation, and that kind of reflects in his. It doesn't solely reflect on him that he's 0-4 this year, because I mean, going 6 shutout innings, you should probably pick up a win. The offense didn't really help him there, but he's 0-4 this year, and 2 of those losses are in games where he kind of really buried his team early on. So you can see the very positive things, but you can also see parts where he needs to improve. But overall on the year, he's got a 4.38 ERA. That's solid. 201 batting average against. He's really not giving up a lot of hits. He's got 43 strikeouts on the year. So there's definitely a ton of positives. So I think for Bastardo, I'm going to go with a B, just a flat B.
So does he profile as like more of a pitch to contact guy or a ground or a strikeout guy?
He's a strikeout guy.
Strikeout guy, yeah.
He's striking guys out. He's at 43 strikeouts in 37 innings. He's a strikeout guy. The thing is, though, he hasn't walked me. He's only walked 15. But I think the reason for me, like, we go back to my Wikelman, giving Wikelman a D, is because I think Bastardo's been a little bit better. So for Angel Bastardo, I got him at a C. So that's kind of my playing field. We'll see when we get down to like the low A pitchers. There's a reason these guys are at C's and D's, because that rotation's been stupid. So
That's fair.
so I kind of had to. upset it a little bit. So I didn't want to give them all A's, all A's. So I have Bastardo at a C, but he's kind of similar to how Wikelman's a high D. He's kind of more like a high C for me. But yeah, so I have Bastardo at a C. I think we have a friend of the Pesky Report and a friend of the Fenway Focus up next, Jason.
Yeah, Hunter Dobbins. Kind of our last full season in Double A guy. So, Derek?
Yeah, I'll take it. So I have Dobbins at a C, and he was at a B probably until his last start, which I know was rough. This year, 3.77 ERA, 26 strikeouts, 13 walks. Bastardo's, I think with Bastardo and him, they're kind of somewhat similar in terms of overall numbers. I think Dobbins has been a little bit more consistent. Dobbins is probably closer to being a B than Bastardo in my eyes, based off just this year. But I also had higher expectations for Bastardo as well because I really like him. And I'm high on him, so a little bit of that too. But a C is not bad. A C, I would say, is probably okay. It's about maybe where we thought we were, maybe a little bit lower than we thought they were going to be, but still in that range, right? So Dobbins, he's not having a bad year by any means. He's been very solid, and overall, he's a very interesting guy. Altered his pitch mix a bit this year, so. And he's added weight in first full offseason, really being healthy. Didn't get sick at the start of the season, as he told us on the Pesky Report last year. Doesn't have he's 3 years removed from Tommy John now. That's not an issue now at all. So I wouldn't be shocked to get to the end of this year, and he'll easily probably be in the B category for me.
I'm going to go with a B for Hunter Dobbins. He's been very consistent this year outside of his big blow-up start, which I kind of blame myself for, because before his start, I was talking about how he hadn't given up more than 2 runs in any start on the year. So then, of course, he went out there and gave up 7 runs or something. So I'm going to put that one on me. That's my fault. But at the beginning of the year, it was weird. He was not striking people out in his first 2 starts. I think he had 2 strikeouts in 10 innings, and he was pitching good. I don't remember what his first start was, but it wasn't terrible. And then his second start was 6 innings, 1 earned, and just wasn't striking people out. And then he started to pick up the strikeout numbers. So at the moment, the strikeouts aren't great. He's at 27 and 31 innings, but he's very quickly getting that number up there. And I think we'll see a 9+ K per 9 soon enough. But even in that bad start, he still managed to go 5 innings and keep the bullpen rested. And I don't want to say he earned the win, but he got the win that game. The Portland offense was very much behind him, so he got through 5 innings without completely destroying their chances of winning. And that's something he's always good at. He's 2-1 on the year. But I mean, as I just mentioned before that start, it was 4 innings, 1 earned, 6 innings, 1 earned, 6 innings, 2 earned, 5 innings, 1 earned, 5 innings, 2 earned. So he very consistently keeps the other team from scoring a lot of runs, which is what you want from a starter. He's not going to go out there and have a ton of dominant, a Wikelman Gonzalez or a Luis Perales or a Yordani Monegro type start where it's they went 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 15 strikeouts. But he's going to be, out of all those names, he's going to be the one that you can trust to get you through 5 or more innings. And that holds a lot of weight for me. So I'm going to go with a B for now.
I think Dobbins has been very solid this year. I think that's kind of it. Like I said, for me, he's very. I had him at a B. His last start probably knocked me just down to C, but he had like I said, he's been very consistent this year with 1 exception, maybe 2 if you include his last start.
Yeah, I love Dobbins. Such a great guy to talk to. I know you guys talked with him, and me and Derek did a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So we'll go to our final Double A guy. New guy who just got the call, Luis Perales. Derek, Or no, Hunter, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with an A for a few reasons. One, he just got promoted. I think that immediately should bump him up a little bit because it clearly shows that the team has loved what he's done so far. And he's been very good this year. He was bad in his first start. He only went 1 inning, gave up 3 runs. And it was one of those things I remember when it first happened. I was like, all right, everybody relax. It's him and Wikelman Gonzalez, slow starters. And then his second start, he did give up 5 runs, 7 hits through 4 innings, but it was only 2 of them were earned. And then since then, he's just been phenomenal. And it all came to a head in his most recent start on Tuesday, where he went 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. Unsurprisingly, with Luis Perales, the strikeouts are ridiculous. He's got 46 in 26 and a third innings. That's something that he's always going to bring to the table. He's always going to strike a ton of people out. The big thing and the main reason he's getting an A, he's only walked 10 batters in those 26 and a third innings, and that has been a massive problem for him in the past. He walked 50 and 89 and 2/3 innings last year, and he walked 20 and 35 and 2/3 innings the year before that. And that was like the big narrative surrounding him last year was everything is great. The raw stuff is there. He strikes everyone out. He's shown an ability to create weak contact, but he keeps putting himself in bad situations, and it would come back to bite him in the ass every once in a while. And he's almost completely taken that out of his game. Where we've seen he hasn't walked more than 2 people this year. Like it's such a complete 180 from what we've seen from him in the past, and he's still doing all the other good things. It's not like, oh well, he worked on his command, but now he's only throwing 95. Like no, he hit 99 in his last game. Like it's still all there. He's still firing the ball in there. His breaking stuff still looks disgusting. I had him personally ranked as the best Red Sox pitching prospect in the system coming into this year. And I think like MLB, and I think even Sox prospects, I could be wrong, but I think they had Wikelman Gonzalez over him. And I feel like the tide's starting to turn of people saying like Luis Perales is the clear number 1 pitching prospect in the Red Sox system.
The Sox prospects had Fitz and Gonzalez over Perales. Actually, had Fitz.
That's right.
Actually, no. Right now,
the
I don't know
really
about then.
me.
Right now, they have Fitz over. As of now, Fitz is at 6, Gonzalez is at 7, Perales is at 8. So that's personally me. I actually just straight flip that order, but that's They still know what they're doing. I mean, that's what 2 spots where like.
Yeah. It's not like they had him sitting at 42.
No disrespect to whoever is at 42. No disrespect to Cam Boozer because you're in the big leagues. No disrespect. We love Cam Boozer, but no. Perales, I got an A for him. And the thing is too, like, is that you go, the ERA is not great. 342, still solid, right? Still very solid. In 7 starts, only 26 and a third innings. He's, they're still working on getting him deep into games and deeper into games. He has given up 28 hits in those 26 and a third innings, but 46 strikeouts and just 10 walks. Also, has only given up 1 homer as well. So limiting the long ball, not walking a lot of guys, and just being Luis Perales and striking out a gazillion guys. For reference, last year in 89 and 2/3 innings, he struck out 115. So just continues to strike out a bunch of people. That's Luis Perales for you. So yeah, easy A for me. That's another one. When you get called up to Double-A in May, it's an A.
Yeah. I mean, I see it all over the place. I don't know, one website will have Gonzalez, Fitz, Perales, or they'll have the literal opposite, Perales, Wikelman, and Fitz. So, I don't know. I think it looks like right now, Perales is definitely the top guy. 2 and 3, I think that's another conversation we have later.
And then wait till Donnie Monegro's healthy. Just wait.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have pitching prospects, huh? Who doesn't have pitching prospects?
I still can't believe that was an actual narrative less than a year ago. I
can't believe that. That was so insane.
Alrighty, Cutter Coffee. We'll start with Derrik. What do you give Cutter Coffee?
I've Cutter Coffee at a B. I really wanted to give him an A based on somewhat on expectations because he's had a really rough couple years since he's been drafted. But at the same time, he was a second-round draft pick. So where the expectations fell on him, like didn't have super high expectations because been a rough couple years, but at the same time was a second-round draft pick, right? So where are the expectations for him? But he's had a nice year so far. Nothing outrageous, but very nice to see him bounce back. I think he's at like a 730 something OPS or something like that. So very nice for him to bounce back. So for that, I'm giving him a B.
I am also going with a B. Again, I brought it up earlier. He had that bad luck competition with Blaze Jordan. Things started to turn around for him. And of course, the second things turned around for him, he got hurt, missed a lot of time. Came back earlier this week, hit a homer in his first game since returning, or in his first at-bat since returning, I should say. So that was pretty awesome. Very clear positives with him, very clear, like there's obvious reasons to be excited about him. He just turned 22 days ago. And that going back to that injury, it was just really frustrating because he hit a homer. It was the first game against Asheville, and they play in a Little League park. And I was really excited to see what Cutter Coffee would do for a week at a Little League baseball park.
It is a legitimate sandbox.
Yeah, I was really expecting like a 7 home run week from Cutter Coffee because he has ridiculous raw power. And we sadly didn't get to see that, but he's back now. Solid defense at multiple positions, nothing spectacular, but good enough. He can steal some bases. He can draw walks. He hasn't done that a ton this year, but I think that'll build back up, especially with him starting to get into the groove of things again. But yeah, it's another frustrating one because I think an injury derailed him at the worst possible time when he was just starting to get hot. But he came back and hasn't really looked like he skipped a beat, so the B for him right now.
Who's the better cutter in the system? Crawford or Coffee?
I mean, it's got to be Crawford right now.
Yeah.
That's not really a question, unfortunately. It's not really a question, but at the same time, Cutter Coffee, there's a chance we'll get both coffees in double A.
Does Cutter Coffee hit cutters really well?
I don't know. We don't get those kind of numbers for.
Yeah, we're not important enough yet to get all the inside information.
We don't get those numbers, unfortunately. I wish we did, but we didn't.
Alrighty, Christian Campbell.
I think this is an easy one.
I'll start with Hunter. No, wait. Who? No,
it doesn't
Derrik.
matter.
I'll start with Derrik.
This is an easy one. This is an A. This is like outside of Matthew Lugo. I think this is the easiest one. Christian Campbell. A shout out to Jake because Jake had him as his kind of breakout prospect. Jake might be on the money 2 years in a row. Supposedly, the guy who told Jake that Roman Anthony was going to boom as a prospect is the same person who told him Christian Campbell was going to break out. So I need to talk to Jake. Needs to tell us who that person is. This guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Jake needs to tell us who that person is and how we can get in touch with them so we can look really smart as well. Although I did look really smart with Allan Castro last year. But I think I did go with Cutter Coffee. I think I might have gone with him on the bounce back here. But Campbell 279, 389, 523 per Sox prospects with 912 OPS. It might have changed today because of their game, but also got 6 homers this year. That's and he plays infield, plays outfield, just kind of does it all. So I think this one, like I said, outside of Matthew Lugo, I think this is the easiest one, and this is also an A.
Hunter.
Yeah, like Derrik said, this is one of the easiest ones to grade for an A. The only thing I can think as a knock on him has been the strikeouts have been a bit of an issue, but he hits the ball so hard, so consistently, it's ridiculous. The other day, I think it was Sunday, he had an RBI single that he hit off the monster in Greenville that he hit so hard that I think it bounced back to the outfielder before Christian Campbell was even standing on first base. Just every time he hits the ball, it seems like it's an exit velocity of like 105 plus. Solid in the outfield, solid in the infield, decent, really good athleticism. Just there's very few negatives to bring up when you talk about Christian Campbell, and he's someone that I think we'll see in Double A relatively soon.
Yeah, Christian Campbell. So now we go to
The greatest prospect of all time.
whatever Derek says.
Man, I wonder what Derrek's going to give this.
I wonder what the president of the Allan Castro fan club is going to give Allan Castro. What do you give him, Mr. President?
I do have to be somewhat fair. So I'm not gonna give him. I'll give him a B. Because he has been solid. He had a bit of a weird start to this year where he was like walking. It felt like every other plate appearance, but at the same time, he wasn't really getting hits. You look at it, but like this is almost kind of like Roman Anthony's start last year. Not that he's gonna be what Roman Anthony was, but like in terms of like I don't know if you remember last year in Salem. I don't know if anyone remembers this. Hunter might. Hunter probably does. But Roman Anthony, like when he got called up to high, everyone's like, "Well, look at the numbers. The numbers aren't that good. He's only hitting 2 something, right?" But he had high on base, and there wasn't a ton of slugging because it's Salem, but he was hitting the ball hard. And I think with Allan Castro, like he's had a homer recently. He's the bat's starting to kind of come alive a little bit, and he draws a boatload of walks. And you know what? The one good thing to have when your bat isn't going, it's an eye at the plate and plate discipline, and Allan Castro has that. So, and he's solid in the outfield as well. So, I'd give Allan Castro a B. Hasn't been necessarily a continuation of a breakout year so far, but I think when the weather starts to heat up and the bat continues to come alive, he'll be rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B for Allan Castro too. He's someone that even when he's slumping, he draws walks, he gets on base, he finds a way to contribute somehow. He plays solid defense in the outfield. He had a really good throw to get someone out at home a couple weeks ago. Yesterday or Tuesday, he had a clutch 2-run homer. It was yesterday. He had a clutch 2-run homer in like the top of the 9th to give Greenville a lead. And that's something we've seen from him in the past. He's had some timely hitting. And like Derek said, I think he's going to heat up. And when he does, we'll see a couple of weeks where he's like Sox prospect of the week. He'll be getting awards, and he'll be getting like South Atlantic League Hitter of the Week. Because it's something we've seen from him in the past where Allan Castro will just, he'll go 9 for 18 with 9 walks, 5 doubles, a triple, and a homer, and 12 RBIs in a week. And it's just like, holy hell, there's a reason he skyrocketed so much last year. Just a fun mix of athleticism and ridiculous raw power. And we haven't seen as much as I think we'll see from him this year. But I still think we've seen a lot of positives, so he'll get a B.
Alrighty. Any last thoughts, Derek, on the Allan Castro fan club?
Yes,
it's your time.
The greatest fan club of all time.
Alrighty, we're moving on.
If you're not on the bandwagon, hop on now because we ain't slowing down. The train's only going to keep picking up steam.
Connolly Early. Never heard of him. I'm sorry.
It's fine. We know you don't watch High A.
I apologize. I wish I knew more. I'm learning. I'm learning a crap ton. I'm learning a crap ton. I've been listening. I gotta listen to more of you guys. Off topic. I've an hour commute now, so
I'll be. There you go. Half of the show on the way there, half the show on the way back, because we always go way over time.
I actually listened to your full show on one go because there was so much traffic. I didn't get home for an hour 45.
Perfect. That's perfect timing for
and I was listening on 1.25. No, 1.5. No, I was listening on 1.5.
Oh, great.
I'm always consistently shocked at the fact that we always go over.
Yeah, we're doing now. But
it's an issue for us. If we finish an episode in like an hour and 20 minutes, I'm like, holy hell, what do we do there? Yeah.
We are so happy.
Credit to you guys. I mean, you know ball. Clearly.
We also have a lot of stupid bits. So. We also have a lot of stupid bits. Triple, the no triples bit, the Elmer Eduardo Rodriguez
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Like,
it's because I've never
talked about it. I know we talked about it, Derek.
Couldn't hit triples. I don't know what.
Yes, I have a grudge against people who hit triples. We have the ear liquor thing that happened. That was
ear liquor. That's what
that was by accident. The Elmer Eduardo Rodriguez Cruz.
I think it's mainly just us messing up names.
Me not being able to pronounce any name in the history of like difficult names. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff like that happens.
I remember you trying to pronounce Mark Colesbury.
I still can't say it.
Oh my goodness! No, I think Jake. I had Jake on another show, and he mentioned like, yeah, have Derek try to pronounce that name.
Yeah, no, Mark. Your name's just Mark, man. I'm sorry.
Alrighty, back to our
Connolly
regularly
Early.
scheduled program.
Connolly.
Connolly Early. What do you give?
I'll take this because I'll give him a C. I originally had him at a B, but after overlooking it, I'm like, because there are a lot of I have some other guys at a B that I'm like that I feel like have had better years than him so far. So he gets a C, but like he's very borderline for me. Also weird. The thing I found weird, he's only listed at 195 at 6'3". Like feels I don't know. I don't think he's that small, like weight wise. Maybe he is. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. But I don't know. Maybe I just don't know how to look at people weight wise properly. I don't know. But he doesn't look like he's 195. But no, overall, he hasn't had a bad year by any means. You look at his numbers: 4.31 ERA. He's got 39 strikeouts and just 9 walks. I like that a lot. I very much like that. The only thing I didn't kind of push it back to a C for me is giving up 5 homers. So that's kind of like the deciding thing for me.
That was a little bit of an issue for me too. I decided to stick with a B just because I felt like a lot of the other numbers were really solid. 4.31 ERAs, whatever, but 205 batting average against, 1.05 WHIP. He's got 39 strikeouts on the year. He's only walked 9 people, so the 5 home runs is definitely a little bit of an issue, but for the most part, he's been really solid. He had one bad outing, and then outside of that, I think he's been pretty consistently really good for Greenville this year. And we talk about Salem being such a good pitcher's park, or such a bad hitter's park. Greenville, I would say, is a much more hitter-friendly park. So the fact that he's putting up really solid while playing there, he pitched a game in Asheville. So he's
that's a
sand so he's not working with the best stadiums, and he's still done pretty well for him. And to be fair, 2 of those 5 homers came in Asheville. So.
Asheville, yeah, exactly. That is true. But at the same time, like Jason, you're gonna have to get on the hate Asheville train because their park's a sandbox and they don't have a broadcast.
They don't. You were telling me, and they're high A too.
Yes, it's so bad. They're almost as bad as Greensboro.
Yeah,
Greensboro at least they have a broadcast, but you got to put the broadcast on mute. Hunter was talking to us about it like a month ago.
The most annoying announcer you'll ever hear.
No, it sounds like
it's so bad. He's so gimmicky.
It sounds like he's pinching his nose.
He does a whole thing when they hit homers. He does this whole strike 3. It's unwatchable.
It's I think a blind person could do a better job of commentating, and they can't even see what's happening.
That's a funny fantasy punishment, having to watch him for a whole game.
Oh my god! No, try watching their games for a whole year. That should be the punishment. Good luck. You might. I wouldn't wish that on anyone because if that happened, I might be trying to jump off a cliff or something. I don't know.
Okay. For reference, so wait, what's this place called?
Asheville is the no broadcast and sandbox. Greensboro is Asheville. And then Greensboro is the terrible broadcasters, or just the main guy. It's so bad. I literally was watching the game earlier today, and I forgot that they were in Greensboro, and I hear.
Sounds like a poor man's version of a goal horn.
Oh, but it's so bad. It's so bad, and it's like it sounds like he's pinching his nose when he says it too. Every time out, he sounds fine, and he sounds like he's pinching his nose when he says "long gone." It's like. And he holds it for like a solid 10 seconds. It's like, at least. It's like, what are we doing here? It's terrible. It's so bad.
Hey. Alrighty. Juan Daniel Encarnacion. Hunter, I'll start with you. Because Derek's gone the last 3 times.
I am going to give him an A because I just talked about this week on the Pesky report. But he's someone that going into last year I was super excited about because the year prior, he felt like the most consistent pitcher in Single A. Just felt like someone you knew was going to give you 5+ innings, which is very rare in Single A to have someone that you think is like you trust to go out there and give you 5 innings every time, just because they're very safe with their pitchers. But he was always so efficient with what he was doing that it seemed like he was going out there getting you 5 innings every time. And then he made 2 starts in high A at the end of the year and 10 innings, 2 runs. He really kind of hammered home for me that, like, hey, this guy's going to be a very solid pitcher. And then just nothing went right for him last year. And where he's kind of corrected all of the mistakes that he was making, to the point where he's kind of been what I was expecting last year, where he's Greenville's most consistent pitcher. Terrible start to start the year, 3 2/3, 5 earned runs. And then since then, it's just been 3 2/3, 1 run, 5 innings, no runs, 4 2/3, 2 runs, 5 innings, no runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs. And one of those starts, May 11th, actually, he didn't find out he was starting until the game was supposed to start. David Sandlin was pulled from the game on his final practice pitch with elbow soreness. He ended up going to the IL for it. And JDE they gave him an extra 10 minutes to warm up, and he went out there and threw 5 no-hit innings, which to me is just kind of like the perfect encapsulation of his season. He goes out there whenever they need him, and he gives them what they need. The strikeouts have been really solid this year. He's up to 42. He doesn't walk people. He only has 9 on the year. It's been even he started today. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning and went through the next 4, got through 5 innings without giving up another run. So it gave Greensville a chance to win. They didn't win, but he gave them a chance to win. So just a combination of the strikeout numbers being good, limiting the walks, consistently being a 5 innings type guy, and the fact that this is such a massive bounce back year for him, down to a 3.66 ERA on the year. He gets an A from me.
Yeah, I literally I'm just gonna echo everything Hunter said. Just agree with him, because I do. It's an A. This is, for the pitching side, this might be one of the easiest ones. But there are a lot of easy ones elsewhere. But I'd say this one's also pretty easy. So I don't think it's the easiest one. I think with someone when we get down to low A, that's an easier one. Although we might just put the whole low A rotation together, because I don't think it's going to change anything. But Juan Daniel Alcaracio, he's our new JD, because JD Martinez is gone, and kind of thankfully, because I don't know why, I just never really liked him that much. Whatever. Probably because he played for Detroit. That's probably why. I have a weird thing where if you play for the Tigers, I either like you and you're cool, or I just hate you. Like, there's no in between. Like, Tariq Skubal, I love Tariq Skubal. Like, love him, right? Riley Green, love him. But like Akil Baddoo, I don't know why. I just don't like him. Like, Miguel Cabrera, I never really liked. I'm like, he's too good. Like, like, stop it. He's too good, right? Like, they have like Colt Keith now at second base. I'm like, I don't really like him. I don't know why. Just don't like him. No Reimer Torkelson, don't like him. Don't know why.
Really?
I don't know.
Huh.
Not that they're bad players or anything, but like, I don't know why. I just don't like them. There's no in between with the Tigers for me. It's so weird. Javier Baez, can't stand him, but he also sucks. So there's that. But yeah, but no, back to Juan Daniel Encarnacion. No, he gets an A. I think that's gonna wrap up high A for us, actually.
Yeah, that is. We're gonna go to AAA. Chase my draft. Derek, I'll start with you.
This was weird because expectation was he was going to start the year in AA, ends up starting the year in AAA. Has been very good, but I'm going to go with the B, because as much as he's drawn walks and he's gotten on base and just finds a way to get on base, hasn't been a ton of power there necessarily. Not that it's been non-existent, but hasn't been a ton. And he's been solid defensively. I know they played him at shortstop a little bit even, but he hasn't been I don't think he's been like too over the top amazing to where I can give him an A. I don't think so. He kind of falls in the B category for me.
Hunter?
I think I have to agree with Derek basically on everything. The walks are still incredible. He's walking a lot more than he's striking out. The on base percentage is over 400. batting average is solid at 262. He doesn't hit for a ton of power, 3 doubles, 2 homers on the year. But that's something that I don't think is ever going to change. And I don't think he really particularly needs to hit for a ton of power because he's got such good bat-to-ball skills that they'll play. He'll still, like, if there's a guy on second, there's not many people you're going to one-up more than Chase Mydroth because you know he's going to put the ball in play. But I can't give him an A because it hasn't been perfect. If he did hit for a little bit more power, that would be great. If the batting average was a little bit higher, again, 262 is very solid. The over 400 on base percentage is good. He plays good defense all around the infield, but there's been prospects that have been better than him this year, so I feel like I can't give him an A.
How old is he?
22.
You know?
My job's 22.
Okay. So he
Turns
still has
23 in July?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Awesome. So now we're going to go to Nathan Hickey. Hunter, I'll start with you.
I'm going to give Hickey a C, just a flat C. The defense is still an issue. They've given him some time at first base this year, but that's just always going to be something where it's where does he play? He has terrible problems throwing people out. He's not great at blocking the play. Like he's improved slightly as a catcher over the years, but when he first got drafted, that was the thing, was like, oh, he's got time to improve as a catcher, and now he's in a situation where it's like you have Connor Wong being Connor Wong in the majors, you have Kyle Teel a level below him, you have Johan Fran Garcia, who looked phenomenal before getting injured this year. There's even guys like Brooks Brannon and Andrew Mussett in the FCL. There's so many catchers in the system. But Hickey hasn't really improved defensively enough to be considered a catcher of the future for the Red Sox because they have so many other options. So with that, you need the bat to carry you, and the bat has carried him all throughout the minor leagues, and this year it just hasn't really been there. He's striking out a ton. He's looked better the last 2 weeks or so. He does have 7 doubles, a triple, 5 homers on the year. He's driven in 22 runs, which is really solid. But 56 strikeouts and 145 at bats is not a good thing. And he's only hitting 221 on the year, so there's a lot of issues. He's had some big weeks. He started off the year really hot. Again, he started to look better recently, so I wouldn't be shocked if he turns it around because I do believe the bat will be fine. I think he'll figure things out. But right now, it just hasn't been a great year for him, so we're going to go with a C.
Derek?
I have Hickey at a B just because I wasn't expecting his defense to be good anyways at the catcher spot. So, I mean, I'll put it, I expected him to get a lot more time at first base than he had up until the Casas injury, which I'm shocked they waited till then to really start putting him at first base. So in that sense, the defense isn't as much of a play in terms of my grading because I wasn't expecting there to be a ton of great defense behind the plate anyways from him. That's why they brought in a lot of veteran catchers this offseason to play them at AAA and to have them catch, not to have a defensive lacking catcher play. No offense to Nathan Hickey, but the defense is not that great behind the plate. So I would assume he would have gotten more time at first base or maybe even like left field even. But that just didn't happen. But I'm not going to hold that to him. So I have him at a B. The bat's still solid. So for that, he gets a B. But can we just get him some more games at different positions other than the catcher? That's all I really ask for him. I know you get Nico at first, but heck, I remember there was a talk about him maybe playing left field at some point. Try him out there. What's it gonna do? Just don't go anywhere near the wall. That's the only thing I ask. I don't need a Blake Swihart, right? Just if the ball's foul, just don't go near the wall. That's all I ask. Stay away from the wall. That's it. That's the only rule. Just
Off topic though, it sounds like Hickey is the depth of the depth. That's it. He's just kind of like a depth guy. So it sounds like to me.
He's in a weird spot because defensively he's probably not sticking at catcher. But where he could go defensively is like first base, he's blocked. can't really move him in the outfield because he's not going to be that great defensively in the outfield, most likely, right? So maybe DH, but then again, like, how many teams are going to carry a true DH unless the bat's that good? Which the bat could be that good for Hickey, but that's kind of the problem with him is like, where do you put him defensively? If the bat's good enough, heck, maybe a team would stick him at catcher, right?
Yeah.
And they try and figure. I mean, the Yankees stuck with Gary Sanchez for how long at catcher?
Too
Fair.
long.
It's a fair point,
Yeah.
So, maybe Travis d'Arnaud has been in the league for how long? He's not the greatest defensive catcher. He's gotten better over the years. I know he's older now, but like, he wasn't like the greatest defensive catcher early in his career.
Yep.
And look at him now, right? He's had 30 homer seasons or whatever it is. So I mean, he still can have a spot, but it's like where's it gonna be? Is it gonna be with Red Sox? Maybe not. I don't know.
Nico Nukes. Derek.
I'll give him an A just because. Yeah, part of me was like, do I give him a B because most of his damage has been on like low 90s and fastballs, but like he can't control what's being thrown to him at the same time. That's not his fault. So, I mean, if the guy's only throwing 90, like, that's what's he supposed to do? Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not going to swing because you're only throwing 90. I'm going to wait for you to throw.
Can you throw that again this time, 95, please?
Yeah, like it's not his. No, can you bring in a new pitcher who throws 96, 97? Like, it's not his fault, right? Would like to see more production on breaking balls, but even then, like, he's been one of the best hitters in AAA. So. Yeah. I mean, kind of can't not. You kind of have to give him an A, but there still is some concern there with him. But he's definitely kind of put his name back on the map in terms of people getting his name in people's mouths. I don't think he's as realistic as an option as some people think he is for the big leagues as of right now. Just because like Dom Smith hasn't been like terrible. He's fine defensively. Dom Smith is, whereas Nico, there's very much question marks defensively, but he's a similar case as Nathan Hickey. You're not really expecting anything defensively from him, so the defense doesn't really hurt his grade.
Yeah, I'm giving Nico Cavadas an A. The batting average is a lot higher than anyone has expected. The on base percentage is solid. He's hitting doubles this year. He's still hitting monster home runs. The walks are still there. The strikeout rate isn't great, but it's down from what it was in previous years. So he's improved on just about everything this year. And like Derek said, I know there's questions around him, like what he could bring to the majors, but I think it's kind of unfair to write him off before he even gets a chance, especially because he's been so impressive this year. And this is a guy that 2 years ago people were absurdly excited about when he was flying his way through single A and high A. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, is this our next first baseman? Is this our next DH? Is this our next Big Papi?" And things cooled off considerably, and I think it's taking some people a little bit more time to kind of trust him again after the struggles of the previous year and a half. But we're seeing such a phenomenal version of Nico Cavadas so far. He gets a very easy A for me.
Yeah, someone who's obviously log jammed and a player who the Sox are very hesitant to put on the roster right now. We'll see how it unfolds. Whether
he's also got the 40-man problem as well.
I think we'll touch on that later. We're getting there. Dick Fitz.
I can't take his name.
What?
I'm sorry. I can't take it. Richard Fitz. Come on. I can't take it seriously.
That's what he said. Dick Fitz.
Yeah.
Dick Fitz. Say it with a straight face. Dick Fitz.
I can't. No chance.
All right, Hunter, you go first. Dick Fitz.
He's gonna get a B from me. He's been solid. A couple not great outings, but a lot of very good outings at the same time. It hasn't been massive with the strikeouts or anything. 34 on the year in 41 and a third innings. 15 walks, that's whatever. The hits have been the real problem. They're hitting opposing batters are hitting 274 against him, which is not good. But he's limited the damage for the most part. 4.35 ERA. And again, we've seen the starts where it's like this guy's very exciting. Just his last time out, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It's a very solid start. It's what you want to see. And he's done that a few times this year. 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits. But we've seen also like the really bad side where he gets hit around in an inning where it's, again, I talked about this earlier, where you're afraid he's not going to get out of the inning, and it's just going to keep going and going until the team's like, all right, we got to do something. But so there's times where he really just isn't missing bats at all, and it's just consistent hard contact, and that definitely brings him down a little bit. But for the most part, it's his first taste of AAA. I think that's a very important thing to remember, and he's doing a very solid job.
Derek?
Yeah, I have him at a C. I think he's been solid. But this is a little bit similar to Bastardo with how I did Bastardo at a C, and also I did Conley early at a C. I think that there's probably other guys in terms of pitching staff that have been better than them, and I think they kind of. I don't want to I feel like they're a little bit. There's a couple other guys, and just in general, in terms of the Bs I have, they're a little bit a notch ahead of what this kind of group. So they're kind of in the high C group for me. So I give him a C, but he's kind of borderline. Also, too, I think you could also make the argument too with Fitz that he hasn't been super consistent. I know his last start was pretty solid, but 4.71 ERA is not the greatest. I know he's had some bad BABIP luck. 3.52 BABIP against, but I'm not worried about him. A C's, kind of being around where your expectations are. I think he has had some bad luck, so there's that. But a C is not a bad thing, so I have him at a C.
Yeah, C's averaged at the end of the day. Alrighty, let's see. We'll go Luis Guerrero.
I'll take Guerrero.
How about this lightning round?
I have him B. I'll say real quickly. He had a 2.16 ERA in April. And then he kind of had one bad outing in May where he gave up 3 runs in 2 innings. And that's kind of helped balloon his ERA up to 3.72 this year. But I feel like if you take out, that outing, I feel like he's been a lot better. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like in some sense you could argue that, he isn't a 3.70 ERA guy. He's probably a little bit better than that this year. So overall, he gets a B for me, but it's nothing. It hasn't been anything crazy from it. It's not. He's not a guy where I'm like, ooh, get him in the big leagues right now for the bullpen.
Yeah,
I still think there might be a guy or two ahead of him, but I think he's a lock to be added to the 40-man this offseason. So with that, I think in total, if you actually kind of crunch the numbers, is what given up. If you take out those 3 runs, it's 5 earned runs this year, something like that, which puts him at a 2.60 ERA. If you take out that one kind of rough outing, against Buffalo. So I don't know. I have him at a B. He hasn't been I think that one outing is kind of an outlier.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing with pitchers, especially minor league pitchers, is early on in the year one bad outing could just completely change the outlook of the season
especially.
at the time. Yeah. But I'm going B also. I think he's been solid for the most part. He hasn't had a ton of super high. He just walked 3 batters in his last outing. But for the most part, he hasn't had a ton of games where it's just the control seems completely lost, which was an issue for him last year. The strikeouts are still there. They still really aren't hitting him. He's got a 188 batting average against. So he's been really solid. Again, just 23. He barely touched AAA last year, so it's not crazy that things aren't perfect for him yet. But overall, he's been very solid.
Ryan Zefferjan. I think that's how you say it, right?
Zephyr John. Close
And
enough.
I'm
This one's an easy one as well. This one's
this is a
super
very
easy.
easy A. Yeah,
Yeah, he hasn't given up a run.
Yeah, he has a 0 ERA on the year. That's I don't really know what else to say other than the man has
Throws
a
100.
0 ERA on the year.
0 ERA,
he
throws
throws
100.
Throws gas, hasn't given up a run.
Yeah,
Easy
A.
consensus A.
This is literally the easiest A on the pitcher side.
Yep. Alrighty. Miguel Bleis.
I'll give him a B. Slow start, right? He's heating up. If we did this again in a couple weeks, this could very easily be an A. But I think the slow start does hold it back a little bit. It's been nice to see. I think the strikeout numbers have dropped a little bit, and walk numbers are up from last year, definitely. So that's definitely nice to see. But the slow start does kind of keep him at a B for now. But this will be an A by the end of the season. I'll just say that this will be an A by the end of the year.
I am already at the A for him. 9-game hitting streak. Like Derek said, walks are up. He's walked a lot more than he had 10 walks last year. He's already up to 18 this year. The strikeout rate's down a little bit. He's up to 14 steals. He's at 9 doubles. He's got 3 homers. He's got a triple. He's been phenomenal. He's had some clutch hits. He had a bases clearing double the other day. Just good defense, fast. Even when he was struggling, like the underlying numbers were good. He was still hitting the ball really hard. Again, with the strikeouts being down, the walks being up. And now it's all starting to come together. I think playing away from Salem for a couple days, I think that really shows how bad the Salem field is. Like
it's so bad.
He left Salem for 2 straight series and his numbers skyrocketed. I think we'll see him in Greenville semi soon, and I think he's going to just explode in Greenville. I think he's going to be a nationally loved prospect when he gets to Greenville because I think the numbers are going to be ridiculous.
Can I make a hot take?
Even now, he's been so good.
I gotta make a hot take. Hot take: Miguel Bleis is in AA by the end of the year.
Ooh,
that's a hot take.
I don't hate that though. I don't hate that. I could see him having the Roman Anthony go to Greenville, dominate for 2 months, and they're like, all right, what's the point?
And
put him in AA. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll take notes.
I'll say this next one for you, Jason, because I'm sure you haven't seen the name.
Yes, thank you.
Yastingson Garcia.
What?
And I got it right.
Why wouldn't you let him say that?
Say it.
Yeah.
Say it.
I was going to say, where do I even... Yastingson? What?
It's a lot. When I first saw it, I thought it was like just Jostingson. Or Justin's, it's actually technically Yastinson. Technically, it's even like more quiet letters. But I just say Yastinson because at one point, Sox prospects had stinks as in the pronunciation, and that's always stuck with me. So I always say Yastinson, although it's technically Yastinson. But Yastinson it's what they had on the pronunciation at Sox prospects at that one time. So. It's like how they spelled Wikelman's name wrong for so long. It just no one realized it, and then they're like, "Oh wait, his name's spelled wrong."
That was wild.
Yeah, thing. That was like an organization.
That was like MLB.com had him as Winkleman.
Winkleman.
Yeah. I'm giving Yastinson an A-. I think he's been phenomenal. I think he's one of the most underrated outfielders in the system. I think he's really good defensively. He's hitting .275 on the year, .356 on base percentage. 6 doubles, a triple, 5 homers, 19 RBIs. He's 10 for 10 on steals. And we keep talking about how hard it is to hit in Salem. It hasn't seemed to bother him at all this year. I think he's in this weird situation where, overshadowed by his younger brother, overshadowed by Miguel Bleis, there's so many people on the Salem roster, and then even just in the system. And it's like, he's 21. It's not like it's like, oh, he's 23, 24, dominating in single A. Like, he's still this really young guy and just doing everything right. We just saw a monster 3-run homer today. He's hit the ball. All of his homers seem to be out by 50 extra feet and just had a little bit of a slump, but I don't blame him for that slump. He was coming back from an injury, and he just saw his brother have a season-ending injury. I don't blame him for having a cold 6 games where he didn't really seem to do much. But even after that slump, the fact that he's still hitting .275, he's still barreling up baseballs, just wildly impressive to me.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength. I have an A. Sucks though because Johan Fran Garcia would have been at an A had he not gotten injured. Which
Absolutely,
is,
yeah.
oh, easy. He would have another easy
He
A.
would have been one of the easiest ones there.
Yeah. So it sucks, because they were both playing really well. And honestly, there was a chance you might have seen them both together in Greenville even this year. Had Johan Franz stayed healthy. But yeah, Stinson's gonna get a for me. I think this is another easy one. We have kind of 3 left, although we really have like 8 left. But
Two players, one rotation.
And we're just chucking the Salem rotation's the easiest grade here, so we'll save that for the
get
last
that over
one.
with now.
No, we'll save it for the last one.
Okay,
let's get the hitters.
Andy
out of the
Lugo.
way first. I'll start with him. I'll give him a B. He's been solid this year. He's a guy. First full season in affiliated ball this year, and he's someone who. I remember last year when we kind of were looking at FCL at times, FCL Minute with Jake. Andy Lugo was mentioned a lot. Had a lot of good weeks, good games right in the FCL. Not the most hyped prospect, but he's been solid this year, and for that, he gets a B for me.
Hunter?
I'm giving him an A-. He came into the week 1 under the league, the whatever league they're in, the Carolina League for doubles. The league leader, and he's hit 1 this week. So I don't know if he's tied it. I don't know what the other guy has done, but he's got 12 doubles on the year. He's got a triple. He's hitting 280. He's walked 16 times. He's 9 for 10 on steals. He had 2 more steals today.
It's because of the triple. That's why he's a B for me.
There you go. That makes sense. But just came into the season like Derek said. He was talked about a little bit last year. Like he said, he seemed like it was someone it seemed like was brought up a lot in the FCL Minute last year, just always doing something. But still, like a very unheralded prospect. Though there's so many people above him, and he's just been one of Salem's most consistent batters. He plays all over the field, and it just always seems to give them something when they need something. Like, oh, they need to start a rally here. Andy Lugo finds a way to get on base. Oh, they have a guy on third. Andy Lugo brings him in. Like, he just consistently seems to be a steadying hand in the Salem lineup.
Yeah, signed for just $10K in 2021 as well. So
he's a bargain.
Yeah, success story too. Real success story. Not a lot of those guys, unfortunately, turn out to be much. And the Red Sox have had a couple guys signed for 10, 20, 30,000 turn into guys recently. Rafaela being one of them, for example. Brian Bayo being another one. He signed for 28K, whatever it was, something like that. So maybe it's another kind of cheap hit for the Red Sox.
Yeah,
on that side.
Alrighty. How do I pronounce this?
Yeah,
Is
Nathaniel
it
Newton.
Nathaniel Newton?
Yeah, it's like Nathaniel, but there's just no H.
Nathaniel, yeah, that's what I saw. I'll start with Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter loves him.
This is another easy A for me. He has possibly been the most electric player in the entire Red Sox system this year. He's just, again, seems like someone that if Salem needs something, he's the one that does it. He hit an inside the park homer in the top of the 11th inning to give Salem the lead at one point. He's
in the no-hitter game too. That was the no-hitter game.
Yeah. He's 7 doubles, 3 triples, 4 homers. Like, he just consistently hitting the ball hard. He's driven in 21 runs. 254 average is solid. It looks like he's filled out a little bit this year. Like, he's a very tall. He's listed at 6'3", 143.
Yeah,
like,
no chance. No chance.
First off, I can't imagine he was that in the first place. That's like, get some help, eat a burger or something. But he clearly filled out a ton, and it's been a godsend for him. He's been phenomenal. He's been, again, someone that I think if the Red Sox system in general, but even just Salem is like a microcosm, if they didn't have so much talent on that team, if there wasn't, Miguel Bleis and the Garcia brothers and the pitchers that we'll be talking about, and I think he would be getting a ton of love from Red Sox fans. And even now, there's some Red Sox fans that are penciling him in as like part of the next big 3 when Kyle Teel, Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Mayer graduate to the majors, that he's going to be a part of that next like big wave of prospects. That's just how exciting he's been.
Yeah, he has. I've been back and forth on this all day on A, B. I wrote him down as a B on my Google spreadsheet, but I think I'm going to change it to an A.
Love it.
I like been back and forth on him all day. 'Cause he's like-
Positivity.
yeah, I'll go positivity. The 3 triples are a little annoying.
Shut up.
Don't love him, but he's been very good this year. Like very, very good. He's one of those guys where like I think a lot of people with him when he gets called up to high A and they see his name for the first time, they're gonna go, "Who's this?" Look him up and go, "Oh, this guy's good." Right? I think he's one of those guys. Obviously not super heralded, not some, obviously overshadowed in some senses, but he's been very, very solid. So I will change it to an A. And we'll start last but not least. I think this one's kind of easy. We have basically the entire Salem rotation. The guys I wrote down were ERC, Derrik and Paez, JoJo and Gracia, Luis Cohen, Turner O'Donnell, and Blake Wehunt. For the record, I have them all at A's except for Cohen, and he was like borderline B. So I'm just giving their entire rotation an A.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do the same thing, Hunter.
I will give their entire rotation an A+. I think that's how good they've been. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz has taken the next step. His fastball's hitting like 98. He was sitting at like 92 last year, so that's a massive upgrade. Derrik and Paez hasn't seen the uptick in fastball. Ian Kundle of Sox Prospects told me a couple weeks ago that April last year he was at like a 90.1 fastball. This year it was a 90.2, so it's basically the same thing. But the strikeouts are up. The walks still aren't a thing ever for him. He refuses to walk people. The accuracy is ridiculous. The hits have been a little bit of an issue for him, but for the most part, I'll forgive that because he throws it in the strike zone and he doesn't throw it super hard. That's something I think he'll have to work on when he gets to higher levels, but for now it's working very well for him. And again, the strikeouts are up a ton, so clearly he's figured something out. The off-speed stuff is pretty ridiculous. JoJo and Gracia, the strikeouts are absurd. Luis Cohen's been consistent. He just keeps getting them 5 innings. Turner O'Donnell had a stretch of one game. He came in relief and threw 4 no-hit innings.
Jake's long-lost cousin.
And yes, Jake's long-lost cousin who's 10 inches taller than anyone in the family.
Yeah.
4 no-hit innings, and then the next time he came out and started a game and threw 5 perfect innings before getting pulled. And then Blake Wehunt, the chicken farmer, just phenomenal. Tons of strikeouts. Outside of one bad outing, he's been ridiculous this season. So it's just everyone that has started a game for Salem this year has dominated.
Mm-hmm. I will share a little bit of a nugget. We may or may not have a new friend of the Pesky Report in that group. May or may not. That'll be a little nugget. For anyone who's listening, may or may not be a new friend of the Pesky Report in that group soon.
Well, go check out the Pesky Report. Hunter and Derrik do amazing work there. Floor is yours, Hunter. Any final words as we wrap up here?
Watch more minor league baseball. It's so much fun.
Yes.
It's so much fun to watch these guys go from, someone in single A who you've never even heard of and you have to look them up. And it's like, this guy got signed for $2,000 from a place you've never heard of. And all of a sudden, 2 years later.
in the FCL getting signed out of Antigua and Barbuda.
Exactly. And, 2 years later, it's someone that everyone wants to talk about. It's just, it's fun. There's so many, and especially right now, there's so many great names in the system. So many guys that are legitimate star potential. There's never been a more fun time to get into Red Sox prospects than right now. It's not to crap on anyone, but go back and look at the Red Sox system 5 years ago and look at it now, and it's so absurdly loaded that it's just there's no reason to not watch these guys and get excited. I know there's the pessimists that want to try to claim that Marcelo Mayer is not good for some reason or that there's no pitching or whatever it is, but for anyone that has any of those doubts, there's so many easy ways to discredit them. Like Christian Campbell is so obvious star potential, and he's someone that like Red Sox fans are getting excited about right now, but that the national media is not talking about. And Mikey Romero has come back, and he's hitting the hell out of the ball, and and the pitching's been awesome. And Johan Fran Garcia looked like a superstar catcher. He was hitting like 390 before his injury, and the pitching that we just talked about in Salem's ridiculous. Like there's so much exciting stuff going on right now. So I just
Donnie Monegro hasn't even pitched an affiliated ball this year. Like
we haven't even gotten your Donnie Monegro, and he's the most electric player in the system.
Yes. Like there's so the Red Sox have had. I'll say this real quick too. The Red Sox have had these groups of prospects that have like these group of guys, like, in every few years or so. Like, you had the Ellsbury, Pedroia, even Count Hanley in that group too, because he was in that group too. And all those guys, Lester, Buckle, et cetera, et cetera. They had that group. And then they had the group of, the Bogarts, JVJ, Mookie, and even guys like Matt Barnes, who were big league contributors. And Jose Iglesias, when they were trading away. And guys like... Graffy kind of came in, into that group a little bit, and Moncada a little bit as well. And you had even guys in that group like Christian Vasquez, Manuel Margot, et cetera, like a lot of big leaguers. You do have guys you miss on, like, for example, like a Trey Ball. Yeah, they missed on him, right? He didn't pan out how they would have liked. That always happens, though, right? But at the same time, they hit on Bogarts, Mookie, Raffy, et cetera, et cetera. You go down the list, right? Yeah. And that's the fun part of the minor leagues. Like Cedon Rafaela, I think you can probably remember Hunter watching him in low A and was it Salem when he was in low A? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was still Salem. Because Greenville used to be low A. Because they changed the minor leagues in 2020. Yeah. But Salem,
didn't it go Lowell, Greenville, Salem?
I think it went Greenville low. Did it go Greenville?
No,
I don't remember.
No, Lowell was the bottom. Lowell was the bottom.
Yeah. I have a terrible memory, so that's I can't remember whether Greenville or Salem is more south. It is Greenville, but I will forget that by Monday. But no. But like, I remember watching Rafael at first in Salem, and him being like this little scrawny kid, like 18, 19 years old, however old he was, and like, oh, he signs a shortstop. They're kind of just playing him all over the place, and look, he's in the big leagues. He's got a $50 million contract extension, and he's still only 22. That's fun. That's so fun, right? Yeah. And like, I get people, Hunter, you can attest to this, can go look back and remember seeing him in high A as a kid who, and then you see him in low A, and then you see him in high A, and then in double A really breaks out, right? And breaks out nationally as well. Yeah. And then before you know it, he's in the big leagues, right? So that's the fun in the minor leagues. So go check out go turn a minor league game on when you don't have anything else to do at home. You have a minor league team nearby, go watch them. Even if it's
go buy a $6 ticket.
Yeah, there's something more fun to. Even if it's a team even if they're not affiliated with the team you like, right? Go have some fun. Right? They're cheap. Just don't buy a hot dog at the game. They're probably still expensive.
$6 ticket and a $5 hot dog. They're cheaper in Portland.
Yeah, hot dogs a little bit cheaper in Portland than Worcester. And
they're $4 in Portland, $5 in Worcester.
No, they're $4.75 in Portland, $5.50 in Worcester, $6.25 at Fenway. 75% difference.
So what does that mean for Greenville?
Probably $4.
Salem.
But go support minor leagues. Go watch. Go to games. They're fun. You will have fun. And heck, you might even see the next Mookie Betts or Rafi. Not actually, but you'll see the next. See the next maybe. Marcelo Mayer, the next Roman Anthony, the next Kyle Teel, the next Allan Castro.
You never know, man.
The first Allan Castro, the first and only.
The only Allan Castro.
Yes. Yeah. But that's a great place to wrap it up. Jason, you want to bring it home?
Yep. For Hunter, go check him out on Twitter. For
Hunter
Derrik
_Noll.
Yes. Thank you.
Here you go. For Hunter, for Derrik, my name is Jason. Thank you for tuning in to the Fenway Focus, and we'll see you next time.